Would you support a mandatory retirement age of 75 for U.S. House, U.S. Senate and U.S. Supreme Court justices, and if not, why? 70. And as for president, no one can run over 65 FFS. Get with the program, folks, just retire. Yes. We have age minimums, we need maximum age limits. These people are making decisions for a future they won't be involved in. Age requirement of 65. 2-term limit. Congress people serve 4-year instead of 2-year terms. And no campaigning more than 60 days before the election. Yes. We need people who are in good mental shape to lead the country. And at around that age, cognitive decline becomes more noticeable in many people. I am 82 years old. Personally, I feel that anyone my age who still gets off on power needs to be kept away from normal people. But to the point of this post, the world has been run by old people since the beginning of our species. And just look at the place. Yes, if you were intelligent to begin with, your wisdom and common sense will increase with age. But so will your cynicism. If you were a young jackass, you will become an old jackass. And a hidebound, prejudiced old jackass at that. Give them a nice pension at 70. With the condition that if they mess with politics or government again, they lose the pension. Deleted. No. The problem isn't age. It's our election system. Politicians get old in office because it's so fucking hard to vote him out. End legal bribery. End FPTP. And we'll see a much healthier turnover in our political processes. I feel like if we were to attach an age to it, it should be the age of retirement. But I feel like it would be more important to have term limits. Limits would fix almost all the same issues and address more, without arbitrarily deciding someone is too old to serve the state. No, absolutely not. Nor should there be a minimum age. Apart from 18. The point of a representative democracy is that the people vote for whom they want. Putting restrictions on who can run serves no purpose other than invalidating the votes of people you disagree with. It's not up to you or me to decide who is valid as a candidate. That's the entire point of democracy. Edit. And to those of you that are convinced that if all the old people were just gone, then everyone would agree with you, you're ironically the exact kind of uninformed voter that you claim to be trying to prevent. I would go even younger at 70. Sure, that may mean we would lose Bernie. We would also be ditching McConnell, Pelosi, and the other fossils in office who refuse to address the problems we face. Mom said it's my turn to post this. I'll be the contrarian. If you're good, you're good, regardless of age. I'll take a 75-year-old who is smarter, savvier, and better representative of my values than a 35-year-old. If you don't like them because they're senile, don't vote for them. That's all. Honestly, I feel the same about lower age limits that aren't just the age of majority. Term limit is the way to go. Holy fuck shit, Reddit, anyone should have the chance to represent the people. Just don't vote for them. You psychopaths don't actually want democracy. Would rather see mandatory voting like Australia. I think cognitive tests should be mandatory after the age of 70 for elected officials. The results should be made public as well. What problem are you trying to solve by doing this? Apparently people want to be represented by ancient dinosaurs. Cognitive test, yes. Simple mandatory age, no, no. Because I don't like excluding people based on age. Elders have long been respected for their experience and opinions in societies dating back to the first civilizations. I'd like to see reform in how we elect our leaders. But the arbitrary age of 75 being where we cut it off isn't it for me. Show me some data that states how to reform politics to reduce corruption and increase participation by the public, and I'll support it wholeheartedly. Deleted. A mental acuity test would be a better idea, otherwise you'll get ageism. No, because we have plenty of everyday people older than that who are smarter and more cognitively capable than someone in their 50s. And we already have a form of term limits. No elected position is for life. We get to go back to the voting booth every year and decide what happens. People have to stop being so uneducated and apathetic. Yes, but also, term limits would fix this and are just as important. No, because someone nominated in their 40s can still be a justice for 30 years. We need term limits. Add POTUS and you got a deal. I'd much rather have an intelligence test to qualify for office. No. I support single term limits for all of them of less than a decade and for them to be composed of a random, blind jury-like pool drawn from the public from among people with appropriate qualifications and rules for them to follow. I'd have the system administrated by AI. It would eliminate the corruption of bought politicians and their families compromising the interests of this nation in the pursuit of their own agendas. It's just what I wish we had, as opposed to what we do. No. Let people decide who they want to represent them. Reagan was the oldest president until recently and he won twice with landslides. 75 is still too high. No. Making politicians retire at some arbitrary age would not address the underlying problems our system has. I support it for 65. Then for the House and Senate. If they were voted in at 65, they could serve out their one and final term. Should be 65. Pray is 35. 35 to 65. 3 decades is more than enough time for someone to succeed or fail at their political aspirations. No, because if there was a 76-year-old candidate I liked, I would want the freedom to vote for them. Supporting things like this is so short-sighted. It never ceases to amaze me just how out of touch the average Redditor is with reality. We just need an amendment that says you can serve 2 terms or 10 years if unspecified. The age thing will take care of itself. Also won't be able to stack justices. Seems ageist to me. Congressional members have a mandatory retirement age of when they don't win re-election. Let the people decide on their individual representative, be they old or young. It sets a bad precedent. I'd leave it to the voters to decide whether an older person should be voted out. This is literal ageism. Ageism is illegal. No. Because then it's not government by the people and it's ageism. If you don't want old people in office, don't vote for them, but don't you dare deny their right to run for office. It's one of the hallmarks of substantive democracy is that any citizen can run for political office. No, because it should be 55 or at worst 60. No way it should be older than retirement age. No, I'd impose term limits of 8 years. Why on earth do we allow people to run the country long after their decisions and way of thinking is grossly outdated? You have no right to discriminate based on age. There is no guarantee that anyone, of any age, is fit to govern. I would argue that my 95-year-old grandfather is more acute, knowledgeable, and fit to legislate than most of my peers. You're going to exclude his eligibility, and thus representation, yet the high school dropout who regularly beats his wife is. This is why we have legislation to protect minorities, and to ensure no one is discriminated against based on age, sex, sexual preference, race, etc. Everyone gets a fair and equal opportunity. Otherwise, you're creating second-class citizens. I'd say anyone over 65 should have to pass twice-yearly mental acuity tests. Also, term limits. Where do you draw the line then? Should people over 75 be legally allowed to drive cars, own companies, work, make their own financial decisions, vote? If I'm considered too old to be effective in the private sector at 65. Those bastards in the government sector deserve the same cutoff. Never made good sense to me why the populace at large has that restriction but the carcasses in our elected seats don't. Retirement age for SCOTUS is a problem as judges can selectively retire early under a president they prefer. Instead, I think SCOTUS should move to a floating number of justices with appointments every odd year. It would take a lot of politics out of the appointment process. I think it should be 70, but yeah. I'd say sooner. 65 absolute max. Yes. Acuity and agility rapidly decline after 75. On average. This is why driving licenses can be taken away from seniors. Pilots have a mandatory retirement age. And the work done by representatives and SCOTUS impact us for generations. And should be done by citizens who are not suffering from decline. I think there should be a wealth level. $100 million. No, sorry, you can't be president. It would be impossible for them not to be conflicted. This is called ageism. Term limits will be fine. I'd make it 65. Enjoy your damn retirement. Who in their right mind wants to work till they die? Just shows what kind of people they are. Power and status above everything else. Man, I'm not even American AMD id support a mandatory retirement age of 65 for any sort of position of government power anywhere. You don't want people at the end of their lifespan deciding the future of those at the start or middle of their lifespan, for being out of date and not connected to the modern world. Screw age limits, should be term limits. Nope. They've decided 65 for us. Same rules for everybody. You don't turn your retirement into doing the most important jobs in the country. Absolutely, but I would think that the cutoff needs to be younger. Say under 65. No, I do not support age discrimination. I do support term limits for all elected positions though. No, that's too old. Cognitive function isn't my only concern. People shouldn't be deciding things for people whenever they are generationally out of touch and realistically not gonna be around for a lot of the problems they create. Don't forget to like and subscribe.